Okay, that worked. Okay. So I should try to get the agenda going. Okay. The last thing I need is just the agenda. Cole, could you post the agenda in our DM so I have access to it? I'm not finding it in
Yeah, I'll send that real quick.
Okay. All the technology. Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? We are having this is a live stream from, I'm in Florida and Cole is in North Carolina, and some of you are in South Africa, and some of you are in other places. I see Sweden and New Jersey and other places. So it's kind of a global time. And we're talking about the Trauma 24 conference, which is happening in October, on October 4th and 5th of this year. And I'm just going to read you a little bit about it, and then we're going to go through, and I'll actually go over what we're going to talk about during the live stream today. So I've got, let's see, I'm just going to start talking. I'm going to talk a little bit about the event itself, and then we're going to invite Annette and Mitzi to share about the venue. They're actually on site right now at the Gibbs Center. And then we'll ask Camilla to share a little bit about visiting South Africa and Johannesburg. For those of you who can travel to the event, it's in Johannesburg. So Camilla will we'll talk a little bit about it and then answer questions. And then we have a short clip from Seaburn about where she talks about what she's going to be talking about at the conference. And then we'll do a little Q&A to end it, to round it out with. So just a little bit about the conference itself. It's a 2-day hybrid virtual conference. It's happening on October 4th and 5th this year. And the in-person at the conference site is going to be Seaburn Fisher, who is traveling to South Africa. And then joining online via virtual interface, and Gibbs is extremely technically put together, as we'll see today. We'll have Frank Corrigan, Dr. Frank Corrigan and Dr. Ruth Lanius, who are two of the leading lights in the study of trauma and the therapeutic use of various modalities that I'll talk about here in a second. And in particular, we're going to be focusing on neurofeedback and deep brain reorienting. And in particular, the work with the brainstem, the lower part of the brain, and what the promises are of using this part of the brain and therapy around that part of the brain in order to deal with trauma, to address trauma directly. And that's sort of the overview out of it. You can attend either virtually just by joining the conference, and Cole will put the link to the way to join it virtually in the chat. And you can just log in to your computer, or you can join us in Johannesburg itself, in Johannesburg, South Africa. We'll talk about that a little bit. So that's my basic introduction into what the conference is like, and we'll hear some more about it. And 𝗦𝗱𝗄 and Inette, I wonder if you are ready to take us on a little tour around. I see the video is showing us immediately what the grounds of the Gibbs area is like. I wonder if that's something. Would you spotlight that, Cole, so we can see?
We're introducing you now to Brian, who is a very energetic guide who will show us a little bit about the area and then into the auditorium, Brian.
Yeah.
So you're walking with him as if you're Livestream. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Yeah. Good. Sort it out. Sure. So what we've got here is we've got our courtyard area. So everyone would be coming in from that area over there. It's from the north block and from the parking, the basement parking downstairs. We've got screens that will be directing them to where your event is. And then we've also got security on site that will be directing to where the venue is. So we'll be walking towards the venue the way the guests would be. So on the day, this is the direction they'll be taking towards where the venue is. So as we walk in, you enter, you see a beautiful welcome Gibbs sign. We've got here our East Block foyer. Like I said, this is an example of the screens that will be showing directions. So this is what is happening today, all of the activities. So on the day, your event will be on the top, showing that you guys are in the auditorium. Then you've got your foyer where your tea, coffees, and snacks will be served. We've also got a cafe there for any snacks that you want to buy, or if you want to buy a cappuccino. So tea, coffees, and snacks will be served in this area. We'll be doing registration as well. So this is your registration table that you'll be using. And then there's Inette. Cool. So then in the foyer here, once you've done your registration, you'll take your walk and then enter into the auditorium. So this is the auditorium. So it is a fully equipped room. It's got a maximum of 200 seating. Got microphones on the table. So for Q&A, people will be, so all of that can also be gone online. You've got 2 projector screens in the room. We've got the microphones. So the sound technician will be sitting in the corner over there. So he'll run the sound from here. And then up there, you'll have your audio technicians that will be running all your videos and presentations. Your speakers will be coming in from this door over here. So your speakers will be coming in from this door. This is where all the presentations will be running from. So fully kitted out. Then your speakers will do the walk once they're ready, get introduced, come into the room, into the auditorium. So like I said, we've got 2 screens. So this is what you'll be seeing. Sorry.
Someone help us with it.
And then your entrance out, you've also got a nice little beautiful foyer over here that allows sunlight during tea breaks. People can have some fresh air, either in the lawn area, in this area, have a seat, have a Zoom call or anything else. And then we've also booked the dining room as your production office. So either where the speakers can sit down, prepare their speeches, get ready, or you guys can lock up your laptops and have this as your kind of office for the 2 days that you are here. Is there anything else that you want me to cover?
Well, thank you for taking us on such a great tour. Brian, is that your name? Sorry.
Yes, it's Brian.
Okay, nice, great. Thank you so much. Miguel, did you have a question? Is that why you have your hand up?
Yeah. I just want to ask where the display tables or whatever, are going to be.
So we once the ladies confirm how many exhibitors you have, if you have 4 exhibitors, what we'll do is we'll clear this lounge area here, we'll do 2 exhibitors here, and then another 2 in that corner where the ladies are sitting as well. So we'll also clear that furniture and you'll have your 2 exhibitors in here.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Brian.
All good.
Okay, thank you.
And are there plug points and that sort of stuff there if we have videos running and so on?
Yes. So is that in the auditorium or for the exhibitors?
The exhibit tables.
Yeah. So right here where we are, where the lounge area is, there's a plug
I
point
can
right
see the
here at the
plugs
back.
there. I can see the plug
Yes.
points. Yeah, fine.
Same
Absolutely.
thing in that corner as well. There's also plug points that are running over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Lovely, thank you. And I wanted to take just a moment to introduce the organizers for the conference. We have on the camera there you see 𝗜ห์𝘁𝗲𝗱𝗮𝗯 and Annette Taylor. They are doing site they are at the site, at the Gibbs site, and they're a core part of the organizer. 𝗜ห์𝘁𝗲𝗱𝗮𝗯 is the logistics coordinator, and Annette has done a whole slew of things, including the program and the content and putting all that stuff together. We have Carolina here on the call today, who is a sponsorship and partnership manager and a core part of the organizing team as well. Helena, who is not going to be present today because she was double booked, but she's the Trauma 24 conference chair and content director. We also have Cole, who is working with me from this side of the pond, doing marketing, content, and communications management. So those are the folks who are involved. I wonder, 𝗜ห์𝘁𝗲𝗱𝗮𝗯 or Annette or Carolina, or Cole, are there things that you would like to share with us today? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No problem. 𝗜htsy, and then would you like to say something before I do? No, just very glad to see people show up for this first, Q&A, which makes it a little bit more real, the conference, and the excitement's in the air. To see the entire Gibbs tour. I live in Mozambique, so I hadn't seen it inside. So that's very exciting. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, 𝗜htsy and Annette. And I would like to say a little bit just about what really inspired this committee to go ahead and try to make this happen. As most of you know, Lars Valla he's the CEO of Eager, and he's our main sponsor. But we approached him with this with this vision. Actually, Helena did, because she's really the visionary of this project, based on the first success visit that 𝗔𝗲 made a few years ago with 𝗦𝗱. And that really changed the way that neurofeedback practitioners in South Africa started practicing their clinical skills. And that was, I think, a game changer in the region for South Africa, for sure, at that time. And since then, there has been a lot of developments based on what we know, how neurofeedback can treat trauma and developmental trauma. And we also know that South Africa and, well, the region, Southern African region in general, is unfortunately devastated by trauma and developmental trauma, for sure. It's one of the regions in the world that would need it the most. So having this conference, or having these great giants of neurofeedback, which is 𝗔𝗲 and Dr. Frank, who has developed another skill that with it, now we know, with neurofeedback, now we know is able to further the healing process, or the integration process of people with developmental trauma, participating in this conference, as well as the work that Dr. Ruth has done in terms of the evidence that she provides is really, really exciting. So again, this is an opportunity for the region to understand its potential in healing a lot of the structural and dynamics of trauma in the region. And we hope to get, as not only clinicians, but people that are interested in the subject, to really delve deeper and understand the new frontier of psychological healing of trauma. So yeah, that's what I want to say. Thank you. And hopefully we have some good questions.
That's great. Thank you, Carolina. And 𝗦𝗱 and Annette, no additions, other comments about the conference upcoming or the site?
No, it is really noisy here. One of the lecture rooms just kind of came out, so we're really busy, or noisy. So I hope you guys can hear. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear it fine.
Okay. Carolina, I don't know if you chatted about what Helena asked you in terms of her passion for bringing out 𝗔𝗲 to South Africa.
Please share.
Yes, please share. She
Hello? Sorry, the connectivity is bad here.
That's okay. Please share, 𝗦𝗱.
Sorry, Lars, it's noisy. Who needs to share? I'm really sorry about this.
That's okay.
Noisy.
Please
Carolina,
please
will you
share.
share that? Lars, can you ask Carolina to share, please?
Yes. Carolina, she's asking if you will share some more about why Helena is inspired to do the event.
Okay.
Well, she had mentioned when I started, when she asked me to come on board, it was really evidence to me that this is the core of what she does today. Her passion in dealing with developmental trauma and trauma in neurofeedback using DBR and 𝗔𝗲's approach was something that nowadays she firmly believes in, and believes that everybody should know about. So she did mention that, like I said before, when she was first introduced to 𝗔𝗲's approach and neurofeedback, attuned to neurofeedback, with 𝗦𝗱, actually, because it was a few years ago. She said that, she had learned in one day of training with 𝗔𝗲 more than she had in her entire training career, let's say, with neurofeedback. So she was extremely impressed, and from that on, it completely changed the way that she acted as a practitioner, as a neurofeedback practitioner, and the way she looked at how neurofeedback can change or improve brain systems. So this is why I think she's been so passionate, and she's written a few books about it. She's the author of 6 books, one being the neurofeedback, the non-invasive alternative, which she speaks a lot about CBERN's approach. So again, this is something she truly believes in, and bringing CBERN here would be the last opportunity, because CBERN is already on her way to retirement. This will be her last conference, and she has chosen South Africa to do so, not only for the reasons that I've already explained, that this is a region that is in dire need of training in the area, and a region that has so much trauma that needs to be dealt as well. But also because she loves South Africa. She thinks it's an incredible, beautiful country that, whoever hasn't been here, it's really, you get smitten by it. It changes you just to be here. And I think Camilla can also tell a little bit more about, the incredible things you can do in South Africa and in the region, really. So yeah, I think did I express well her passion, Mitzi or and Annette? Do you want to go ahead and add to that?
Yeah, thank you, Carolina. I couldn't have done it better. It's a little bit more quiet here now. I just want to mention that CBERN came when
I didn't say that she had a passion for elephants, but that's a whole different. That she's also a ranger.
That's a big mistake.
That's a different passion.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that CBERN, when she came to South Africa the very first time, she stayed with me. And the very first evening, she had a very deep, I would say almost spiritual experience of being here. And she just said that she was so overwhelmed with the feeling of what she experienced when she came into South Africa. She felt that she was so grounded, and that, yeah, to see, I witnessed what she went through. It was an amazing experience, and she was overcome with emotion. To be here, she said it's like she's come home. So it was a beautiful experience, and I can actually understand why she wanted to come.
It sounded like the end of that got cut off a little bit. Thank you, Mitzi, and thank you, Carolina, for sharing about the conference and about Helena's motivation for beginning the organization process. And we will take a few minutes to talk with Camilla Delamico. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your last name. I said it to myself numerous times this morning just to remember what it was. But Camilla works with Africanova. I think, is it your business, Camilla?
Yes.
Okay, Africanova does travel arrangements to travel any of your travel needs. So if you were coming to the conference in Johannesburg, then, or plan some future trip to South Africa, then Camilla is the person that you want to talk to. And I wonder if you want to talk just a few minutes about the possibilities of people visiting from within South Africa and also from elsewhere in the world.
Yes, hello everyone. Yeah, so I'm based in Cape Town. So this is my favorite place in the world. I love Africa. I'm not from Africa originally. I'm from Brazil, but I've been here and work in the industry for 16 years. And I'm married to a South African, and had the opportunity to see this continent, which is big and amazing. But if you really don't have much time in South Africa, you still can do so many things out of Joburg. Especially Joburg is so close to so many destinations that you can go see, can do a real safari. So you are driving distance to some of them. You have to fly to some of them, but you can do several parks, national parks. So if you are interested in doing safari, and this is the only place in the world that you can actually see these animals. You don't have any other place in the world that you can come and experience it. It's such an exclusive thing to do, to be in nature with those beautiful animals, and obviously with respecting that beautiful nature around you. And you have the opportunity to if you have opportunity to go, you have a few days, even if you have 3 nights or something like that. So the distance you can take either a flight from Joburg, it's 50 minutes to the Kruger, which is our most famous national park, or you can also drive to some of others that can be even 2.5 hours. You can be in this beautiful reserves. Even out of Joburg, you have some that are a bit smaller places about an hour away. I can also arrange the transfers and everything. So it's a very simple thing to be done from Johannesburg. And if you have more time, and let's say you're coming to Africa and you want to do something longer and bigger, you can fly to Cape Town, which is one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I'm sure a lot of people that know this city would concur. It's just incredible. And you have so much nature around you and history and so much to see on the side as well. It's only a 2-hour flight from Johannesburg. It's not it's very easy. There's a lot of airlines, a lot of flights. So it's also very easy to come. You can come at least, I would say, to really see Cape Town, be able to see the different activities to come. If you can come for at least 3 nights, that would be great if you have this time. Or otherwise, there's many other things to do too if you're more adventurous. And apart from South Africa, if you want to do safari in Cape Town, this is in 7 days or 6 nights. You can do something like that. But if you want to do something a little bit further, let's say I'm going to Africa. I don't want to miss this opportunity. I'm never going back there. Then you can also do something more adventurous. You can go to other places in the continent, like Kenya or Tanzania. Or there's so much to see. Botswana, you can see the gorillas in Rwanda and Uganda. Or if you want to have a beautiful island experience, you can go to Mauritius, or you can go to Seychelles. It's this beautiful island. It's 5 hours away from Johannesburg by flight. So you have so different things. If you're into nature, if you're into the beach, or if you want to go beautiful city, you have Cape Town. So this is pretty much all the things that you can see. But everywhere here you can go see animals for anybody who wants to see them. And obviously all these places that I work with, they are very concentrated in conservation of these animals and the communities, and very, very helpful. We are not, everything done in the best way possible. So a lot of these communities are completely uplifted by these beautiful lodges that take care of everything around, make sure they actually, the biggest interest for them is to make sure that this continues to exist and to do the conservation of these areas, which I think it's, for some people, it's quite important. And a lot of people have this question if they are taking advantage, because it's everywhere in the world going to have the good and the bad. And we have a lot of the good, and everyone I work with is very conscious about it. So, and if you have any questions for me or anything that you think is really important for you to come, you can either email me or you can ask me now as well. So it's up to you. Okay. So I hope you enjoy this beautiful country as much as I do. I will never leave, for sure.
That's great. Thank you so much, Camille.
I jump in really quickly just to say that also just the city of Joburg is spectacular also, if you don't have much time, but it's a bustling city. It's the economic center of South Africa. You have fantastic restaurants, museums, cultural activities. Let's not forget it's the place of Nelson Mandela. So you can visit his house. You can, if you're interested in, the history of South Africa. There's the Apartheid Museum. There's a lot of other stuff also just in Joburg that is fantastic to look around and kind of understand the makings of South Africa. So, and Cape Town, the wineries are another thing that some other people, when they don't like safari, they definitely like to drink the wines. So attracted to Cape Town.
Yes, well put, well put. It's perfect and you do, like she said, so many amazing restaurants. And the other thing you got to remember, like the food is so good in South Africa in general, and it's a fraction of the price if you live in, for instance, in other parts of the world like Europe or the US, because the rand is so much weaker than the dollar or the euro. So this is also a beautiful place for you to experience wonderful restaurants for a fraction of the price.
Thank you. And as far as getting from, if someone is flying into Johannesburg for the conference, is it relatively easy to get from where they arrive, the airport that they come into, to the Gibbs Center where they'll be?
It's very easy, very easy. You can take an Uber, or you can take a transfer from the airport. It's very, very easy. It's like 40 minutes, 35 to 40 minutes. Very simple. And yeah, there's transportation at the airport as on your arrivals hall. You can, if you feel more secure to book a transfer, you can, but you do have service from Uber or a transfer from the airport. Either way, it was safe to get there. Like, I think, like a lot of countries are a bit like that. When you just take a random taxi, you feel a little bit insecure because people try to take advantage of tourists. So I think I would like, it's just always good to, if you don't want to order an Uber, you can go, and there's a bunch of transfer services on arrival that you can book right there. There's as you disembark, you're going to see them. And it's just, maybe it's an easier way if you don't feel secure about ordering
fixed
something.
prices, right?
It's fixed prices. Obviously, it's a little bit more than an Uber would be, but it's just a very safe way to do it.
And for folks from the region that are thinking about coming to the conference, what is there as far as, it's a 2-day conference, so lodging makes sense for at least for the night, the Friday night, right, of the conference. And can you talk a little bit about what the possibilities are there?
There is there is a little bit on the documentation, but I think that's the two closest hotels that I think are nice. There is a nice guest house that's very close, which I shared as well on the document. I can give more information if you want written information as well. And there is there's a bigger hotel that's called Pretty Wanderers, that it's not so far from there either. It's about 2 kilometers away, so it's not that far. So in this area of Pretty Wanderers, there's other hotels around it as well. Even around the Gibbs Institute, there's a few that you can use. I normally like to stick to the brands that we use a bit more. So in general, the Pretty Wanderers is in that area. There's a bunch of restaurants there too. There's a lot of you're very close to these things, about 1.5 to 2 kilometers away from the hotel, from the Gibbs Institute. Yes.
Right. Very good. Great. Thank you so much. Does anyone who's attending have any questions for Camilla? Okay. Everybody's coming, right? So then, what have I got left? I want to introduce this promo. So I've done a series of interviews recently. One, as I mentioned in the chat there's an interview with Helena Bester, which will go up in a couple of weeks. It will be live on our podcast, which is on YouTube at it's youtube.com @the neurofeed, and I put that link in the chat to the interview with Seaburn that I did earlier. So there will be that interview with Helena, and then there's an interview with someone who worked with Helena in Mozambique, and just gives a first-person experience with deep brain reorienting and with neurofeedback. And for folks who are not familiar with neurofeedback and deep brain reorienting, there's been over the course of the last decade or so, there's been more change in the neuroscience of how to address trauma and the therapeutic tools that are available. And what is really exciting for a lot of clinicians, especially in the eager community, is the work of Frank Corrigan, who has shown that the accessing the brainstem part, the lower parts of the brain, enables to really address some of the shock and attachment rupture that is the basis for trauma behavioral dysfunction, dysregularity. And so this is super exciting. And the idea of gathering for the first time ever Dr. Ruth Lanis and Dr. Frank Corrigan and 𝗂𝘂𝗏 Fisher in the same conference, along with some of the folks who've been working with them, like Dr. Andrew Nicholson, to talk about these therapeutic modalities and what the evidence is. And in particular, Dr. Ruth Lanis is going to be talking about the results of the research that they've done at this point. So they've already got some evidence to show in a based on a peer-reviewed research, published research that shows that deep brain reorienting has this incredible effect on being able to address some of the attachment rupture and the dysregulation that comes from trauma. And I just wanted to share a little piece of the interview that will come up soon that 𝗂𝘂𝗏 and I met earlier this week to talk about how we were going to be doing this live stream and ask about some of her thoughts on the conference. So I'm going to share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thanks. And then you'll let me know if the sound comes through okay. Actually, I should just make double sure before I do it. Where's the audio? Option. Let's just try it and see if it works.
How do we?
Yeah, we're getting some.
Okay.
Not suffer, but not only not suffer, but
We might actually just be getting the
like,
echo
for
was.
my money now, the two things.
Oh, from my mic.
that,
Yeah, I think so.
and that will be represented at this conference. The two things that
Thanks for bearing with me. So typically there's an audio button.
Yeah, it's like a checkbox in the bottom right when you're selecting your screen. So when I'm in the new layout, Lars, if your Zoom's updated, when I'm sharing the screen on the right side, there's a layout section. You might need to expand it at the bottom, and then that gives the option to share sound.
All right. Okay. See it. Thank you. So, are you seeing my screen?
how do we?
Yes, and we're getting some.
Being not suffer, but or not only not suffer, but thrive. And I think, but for my money now, the two things that and that will be represented at this conference, the two things that offer the most promise are neurofeedback, which is got a threshold to it. You know, there's a barriers to entry because you have to learn another way of thinking. You have to get equipment and so on, but it's well worth getting through that barrier. And deep brain reorienting, which is an extraordinary, I think, a paradigm shift in the way that we understand the nature of therapy, or at least where we have to begin the inquiry. Because fundamentally what DBR is saying is that trauma, early childhood trauma, significant enough, creates shock. And in that shock is held in the brainstem. And until you can reach that shock, and DBR helps you do that, this person is at risk of suffering, really, of their suffering continuing. So, yeah. And so between regulating the nervous system and getting to what potentially can dysregulate it that may be a little harder to get to directly with neurofeedback. I haven't given up on that yet by a long shot, but DBR does the job. So I think that's what we're going to be talking about in October in Johannesburg. The province of neurofeedback, not the sole province, but the main province of neurofeedback is to help people regulate affect. Which, if we go back to earlier when we were talking about, is exactly the problem that people are left with when their mothers don't attend, right? They don't learn to regulate feeling states. They're left on their own, and they become captive to those feeling states. So neurofeedback, as I've said in some talks, is the second best thing to having that mother, because your brain has the capacity to learn to regulate even wild affective states. I mean, neurofeedback was first discovered, or one of the first discoveries was around seizure disorder, and people were able to teach their brains, or their brains were able to learn how not to have seizures. Well, we can learn how not to have fits or outbursts or, swing at the, just screaming. I mean, all the things we do, right? We can learn not to we just don't need to go there with a regulated brain. That's really the province of neurofeedback, and you can measure it. You do on a every time somebody trains, you're checking in on those areas. So some of the people who I don't think could do DBR or really do much of any kind of other therapy and are seen then as treatment failures are just not getting the treatment. The treatment is failing them. They are not treatment failures. We need to find another treatment. So the treatment at that level it is to address the nervous system, and that's neurofeedback. The DBR is really going for a very specific and through a very specific process, going to address the shock that at any given moment could set off the whole catastrophe. If there's a reminder of it, or if there's whatever different ways that could happen. So and I think the DBR is another possibility in the long run. I think once it's used more widely, and it's gaining popularity very quickly, is that it can keep people from developing PTSD, which is, there's a train accident and you're really thrown by it. You're in the accident, you're really thrown by it, you see something terrible. That shock before it can take over could be addressed with DBR. And therefore, those are the impossible things to count, but you could, to measure, but you could, in fact, conceivably short circuit a PTSD response. And that would be incredible, because it's happening all the time. Mostly what I'm focusing on and what we'll be talking about is developmental trauma as early childhood trauma, and DBR approaches that as well. For me, this conference is a privilege. It's a privilege because of the people that are putting it on. It's a privilege to be in South Africa. And it's a privilege to be with Ruth Lanius and Frank Corrigan. I would expect that our, as it were, chemistry, which we now could call electricity, maybe more truly, will be, I think will be terrific. There's a lot being challenged here about how we think about trauma and how to treat trauma.
Okay, thank you everyone for watching that. And as I said, it's an interview that I did with 𝗂𝘅𝗏 earlier this week, and it will be up this month sometime. And I wonder if we could take just a couple of minutes that we have left. We have about an hour time scheduled for this. If people have any other questions or comments about the conference or yeah, anything along those lines that comes up for anyone.
I maybe just want to mention, Lars, you shared in chat a previous interview with 𝗂𝘅𝗏. So for folks who haven't watched that yet, that's a good sort of, a lot of the same sort of crossover with what 𝗂𝘅𝗏 was touching on there. So definitely recommend checking that out. I can repost the link for everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe some people just want to introduce themselves and why they're interested, like
Sure.
being here. Who would like to start? I see Maud, Jacko, Cecilia. Just if you could introduce yourselves and tell us what made you interested in this live stream and the possibility of the conference. That would be great to hear.
I'll go ahead, but I'm not going to put my camera on right now if you don't mind.
That's fine.
So hi, my name is Yaku, and I'm from South Africa, and I've been studying psychology up to my honors degree so far. And my mum, she was in the group earlier, but she had an appointment. She's actually a clinical psychologist and has been doing neurofeedback for a while. And she's also very close with Helena, and I myself had neurofeedback therapy from Helena for quite a couple of years, and so did my two brothers. So yeah, I have been going into the direction of like therapy, and I have a lot of experience myself with what neurofeedback has to offer, at least for what my issues, I guess, were. And my two brothers had two separate things that they got therapy for, one for ADHD and the other one for anxiety. And just having worked and like knowing my mum and Helena, I've had a lot of experience seeing what neurofeedback can offer other people as well. So yeah, it's something that I'm very keen on pursuing and getting qualified for. Also because neurofeedback's quite like young relative to other treatment styles. So yeah, that's me. I just want to become more educated and very excited to be part of the neurofeedback clan.
Thank you, Jaco.
Thank you, Jaco. That was very refreshing to hear. Ingrid, would you like to speak, or Valentina?
Okay, I'll just quickly speak. Let me start my video. Okay, well, you can hear me, but you can't see me. So yeah, I'm Joburg based, so I'm very keen to attend this conference just from the point of view of from a clinical point of view, to see how one can assist clients. And I haven't really encountered deep brain work before. Carolina was actually the first person to mention that to me during the course that we're currently busy with. So it sounds very interesting. I like the concept of brain-based work and therapy. And I think, you know, as Carolina mentioned earlier, South Africa and the southern region is definitely part of the world that is heavily traumatized, and we also need interventions that's quick and effective. And I think, you know, as far as I can tell, this might be one of those types of interventions that's potentially quicker because it works directly with the hindbrain where the trauma is located. And most of our clients just don't have time to do long-term cognitive types of therapeutic interventions. It just takes too long, and it's not even all that effective long-term. So yeah, so I think it's something I'm quite looking forward to, and it'd be very nice to see people face to face. I'm doing the EEG course in South Africa at the moment, and I really enjoy the community, the sense of community that's developed, getting to know names and faces, and so for me that's been quite special.
Thank you. That's great. And I thank you for mentioning the part about it, you know, the brain therapy part of it, which seems to me like this extremely destigmatizing, you know, around there's so much humiliation and shame that's around this thing, and the idea that the actual issue is brain based really provides this other way of looking at what it is that people with difficult histories are addressing. Really looking at that.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and I think these modalities just really give a way for that to actually heal and change, which is really exciting. I've been working with 𝗔𝘂𝗏 since 2017, and in that time, I've been able to meet probably the smartest people I've ever met in my life. A lot who've been doing neurofeedback, for example, longer than I've been alive also. So it's very humbling in that way to see so many people, especially with DBR being a newer modality, just so moved by it, and wanting to integrate it with neurofeedback. And this conference is really the first place really where 𝗔𝘂𝗏, where Frank Corrigan, where Dr. Lanius are meeting together to make that happen and to start that sort of discussion. I think many of the people here who are familiar with neurofeedback either have the stories or connections with the community that doesn't exist as much with DBR right now. But what I'm really excited about is this being sort of the first step towards a future where that's the case. And this is where that's sort of starting, which is really exciting.
Thank you, Cole. Marianne Baumgart, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. I mean, I wanted to chip in with explaining why I'm here.
Yeah,
as you can hear, I'm German I've been born in Germany, but I'm living now since 2000, I'm living in the Southern African region, and actually in Maputo, Mozambique. And I'm one of Helena's patients for 9 months ago, more or less. And we are working with DBR and neurofeedback. And when I was still living in Germany, I underwent 3-4 years. I had psychoanalytical-based therapy. And I see how far we came with the speaking therapy and how far we are getting now with the neurofeedback and DBR. And I mean, I'm just, wow. So, and that's the reason why I just would like to know more about the theoretical background and get to know the method a little bit more. I'm knowing the practical side, but the theoretical side, and more what it does to other people. Yeah, thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and we've been doing the DBR trainings with Dr. Corrigan and his team for over a year now. And it is really, really exciting. If you've done a DBR session before, you kind of understand, either from a clinical or a client perspective, sort of what goes into it. One of the things about the conference that I'm really excited about is that Frank will actually be doing a demo of DBR, so everyone will sort of get to see what that looks like. Sorry, Valentina, you raised your hand?
Yeah. I would like to say why I'm here. I'm from Italy. Now I am in Greece on holiday, so this is the place from where I call. And I know DBR because 2 years ago I did the first training with Frank, and then I did the second level and the third level. And I'm so enthusiastic about DBR. It's so wonderful. I've been working for 2 years with my patient, and that's the main reason why I'm attending this meeting. And I think I would like to know more about the intersection between DBR and neurofeedback, because I don't use neurofeedback now. So I would like to attend the conference, maybe online, because it's so difficult to come to South Africa. And that's the reason why I'm here.
That's great. Yeah, 𝗂𝘁𝗻's second talk is all about she's sort of proposing a way forward with neurofeedback and DBR together. Right now, the training and learning about it's really separate. There's a lot of clinicians who've started, especially on the eager side in the past year, doing neurofeedback alongside DBR and sort of seeing what results come out of that. So along with Dr. Linius's research and sort of that pathway sort of proposed by 𝗂𝘁𝘁, I'm really excited for what the future looks like when it comes to training, when it comes to the clinical applications of these modalities.
That's great. And Cecilia, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you very much, Lars and everyone else. Cecilia, I'm from Kenya. I'm a neurophysiology technologist that is basically doing EEGs. I trained in neurofeedback in South Africa some time back, and had quite success with my patients in anxiety, dealing with anxiety, but I think I want to learn more about that, because there is a lot of trauma in the country that results to a lot of depression, and to just grow my knowledge on the same. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to share?
Well, maybe say to wrap up, for folks joining from the Global South, we've extended the early bird pricing just to make it as accessible as possible to attend in person or watch back the recordings online. Whether you're watching we're going to be live streaming here on Zoom, basically, the live presentations as they happen. And then afterwards, those recordings will be available on EEG Learn to sort of watch back at your own pace. So even if you're not able to attend as it's happening live, especially for folks joining from North America, for example, those recordings will be available on EEG Learn. We'll be having spaces sort of on our community where discussions about those topics can continue from the actual course into training. For example, we do introductory training in neurofeedback, into DBR. So all of that stuff that we can explore with folks. So if you have any questions about attending, about the conference itself, you can feel free to write to us at learn@eager.com. We can help with those questions. I'll just put that in chat as well.
Thank you, Cole. And Mitzi, Annette, and Carolina, any last words? Oh, let's see. Okay.
It's noisy here and it's exciting here, and we can't wait for the next step. And we were so excited about the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, just thank you, and thank you, Lars, Cole, for making also this platform happen. So thank you for everybody for coming together, and I'm also very excited to see what, how all this community is going to come together in this conference and what we can learn about it, because like Cole has said and so many others, we are at the frontier of something very new, and possibly what the future would look like in brain therapy and in therapy in general. So thanks.
That's great. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to working with you and talking with you and getting to know everyone better. If you do have any questions, then as Cole said, then please feel free to write to us. We would love to hear from you. There will be more news and sort of information that will be coming out over the next couple of months. So thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really, really, really interesting. So
yeah, and I really appreciate everyone sharing their sort of their perspective really when it comes to these modalities in the conference. That's really helpful to hear because up to this point, it's been a lot of indirect coordination. So I'm really excited to hear from folks who will be joining.
And one last thing, I want to thank also the presence of Biofeedback Association because they've been a great supporter for us in South Africa. So thank you for that and for also making sure that our community in South Africa knows about this conference and going further with it. Thanks.
Yeah, and I noticed Camilla's no longer on, but I really appreciate the work she's been doing with Africa Nova as far as arranging with people attending in person as far as travel and accommodations. So if you have any questions about attending in person, if you're able to do that, feel free to write to us and we can put you in contact with Camilla.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.